President Trump called out Bank of America CEO Brian Moynihan and J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon at the World Economic Forum last month, saying conservatives complain banks are not allowing them to do businesses. Both those companies have denied that they make banking decisions based on politics. But following that exchange, the Senate Banking Committee called for a hearing on so-called debanking. That's going to be taking place tomorrow. And joining us right now to talk about it is Senate Banking Committee Chairman Senator Tim Scott. Senator, first of all, thank you for being here. Second of all, why don't you explain why you're holding these hearings?
Well, I actually announced this part of my agenda in late December, that there was a need for us to take a look at the debanking strategies that was used by the Biden administration. Think about it. This is Black History Month. I grew up in the Deep South. I understand the unbanked Americans are so often minorities because there was redlining back when I was growing up. The good news is today it's less about black and white, but unfortunately, today it's more about red and blue. The politicalization, the weaponization of our banking system should never happen. If you are politically disfavored under the Biden administration, we saw cryptocurrency targeted, other digital assets targeted, the oil and gas targeted, the firearms industries targeted, and individuals from Melania Trump and beyond. So I've gotten over 1,000 calls from people around the country who say they have experienced some debanking. So tomorrow we'll have an opportunity to hear from Old Glory Bank and what they went through and why they existed to try to find a way to provide resources, financial resources, to those who had been debanked. We'll hear from Anchorage Digital so that they will talk about the process that they experienced under the OCC, and experts who can speak clearly about the importance of treating all Americans exactly the same, no matter whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you're liberal or whether you're conservative.
Senator, I hear a little bit of conflicting points of blame in what you just said. At the beginning, you said it was the Biden administration and the regulators who were doing this. At the end, it sounded more like, well, maybe the banks are choosing politics on some of these issues. Let me read you back a response from Jamie Dimon,
sure,
who put this pretty succinctly. He said, "We are responsible in the law to fight sex trafficking, money laundering, tax avoidance, and basically regulators, too," he said. He said the regulators put a lot of pressure on us and tell us what is high risk. If we don't debank someone and something goes wrong, it could be hundreds of millions of dollars in fines. So a lot of banks are kind of guessing, like, we should get rid of these people. We're not allowed to tell you why we debanked you. So they will point back and say that it is the regulators who are putting pressure on them and who have pretty vague laws, and that they are not, therefore, as part of those laws, allowed to tell people why they're debanked.
Well, Becky, there's no doubt I spoke to the Bank Policy Institute a few weeks ago, and one of the things that they said collectively was that the OCC under Biden administration put so much pressure on them that their reputational risk wasn't in the competitive market. It's really with the regulators. Think about that. The weaponization of our regulatory state against our financial institutions. At the same time, about 18 months ago, I spoke before a lot of the large GSIBs as well, and they talked about their decision to not bank certain industries because of the environmental impact. So having a conversation about the importance, if it's legal in America, and you do not have a business reason to not bank someone, then you have a responsibility to do so. Next week, I hope to have a larger, broader conversation with more CEOs about this really important topic.
Senator, do you feel like you have the expertise, or the Senate has the expertise, to supplant the expertise of bank supervisors when it comes to the issue of the extent to which some of these banks should or should not be involved and have crypto on their books? There was, as I understand it, a consent order between Anchorage Digital Bank and the OCC that seemed to deal with this through supervisory. Is that discrimination or is that prudence?
Well, the question you asked should be answered simply. Do we have the responsibility of oversight? The answer is emphatically yes. Are we thankful that the Biden administration is gone and the Trump administration is here? 1,000%. Am I excited about Scott Bessent and the team he's going to assemble over our financial regulators. 100% we are heading in the right direction. So will I have more information to do a better job of oversight? Absolutely. Have I had really important conversations with financial institutions about the weaponization of our banking system against their customers? The answer is yes. Will I have more information at the end of tomorrow? 1,000%.
Yeah. Senator, in the meantime, let me ask you about this new proposal that was brought up yesterday, the idea of creating a sovereign wealth fund. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, I guess going to be in charge of that and really looking at, I think, as he put it, you know, taking some of the assets that we have and monetizing them. What do you think about that prospect?
Well, I've talked to a number of people yesterday about the important decision of a sovereign wealth fund. I think it's a great idea. I think the important part from my perspective is governance. How do we construct the kind of board, the governing board, that makes sure that this is not weaponized during this administration or the next administration? But what we focus on is ROI. That means that you have to have a team of experts doing what we see at the PIF. We see really good examples in Norway, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, that have done a really good job with these sovereign wealth funds. The question is, will we have the type of governance over it so that no matter who's in office, whether it's Trump or someone else, that the focus is ROI and not specifically someone's political agenda?
Yeah. Senator, you mentioned 3 countries that have massive surpluses based on their resources, and they're trying to use the sovereign wealth fund to diversify that because they have essentially too much money coming in to kind of put to work within their own country or in other ways. That doesn't seem to apply here. Isn't the big question, where's the money come from? Are we going to fund this, out of the annual budget? What are we actually, what's going to be in the fund?
Well, that's a good question. I think the president will have an opportunity to answer that question. But if you think about the decisions he's making and the signals he's sent, whether it's TikTok or the Panama Canal renamed the American Canal, what we do know is that having an opportunity to have that serious conversation about investing in America's future is a really good opportunity. What we do know is President Trump is a visionary leader, and he's going to bring to the table things that we haven't considered before that can produce a better ROI for the American people. And so how we figure out how to do it, the good news is we have the world's best in our nation, and we will have, if we go forward with it, I think a very competitive position.